What's up, MG fam? Welcome back to our Georgia Southern rebuild here on College Football 25. And yes, right after that loss against Liberty in our first bowl game ever, hey, bittersweet because we did make it to a bowl game after not making one the season before. So now it's time to jump into the off season and get it on, man. Let's retool this team and make this squad better than it was this year. That's always the goal. And after simulating the first week of bowl season, we were able to get Defensive Player of the Week for our boy Deshaun Davis. Yo, he did his thing in that last game, but it wasn't enough to get us the win. He only had 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, and 3 tackles total. So I guess we did better than the other teams that played that week. And looking at some more offers, last time we were offered a bunch of coordinator jobs, and this time we were offered 3 head coaching gigs and 1 defensive coordinator job. So the Louisiana Raging Cajuns offered us a defensive coordinator job, yo. They said that's a job offer upgrade. Yo, we're in the same conference. That's kind of disrespectful. And we also got offered a head coaching gig from USF. Now that's an upgrade because it's a head coaching job in a slightly better conference. And we got offered the head coaching job at Coastal Carolina as well. Not an upgrade, we just beat those guys this year. And after that bowl game, Liberty ended up offering us their head coaching gig as their coach took a new job. So okay, the nation is starting to take notice. And to stay on the topic of coaches, you can check us out here with our coach abilities. We have 10 points to spend, and we ended up spending it with our motivator ability as we will upgrade our defensive line to tier 3. So this will give our defensive linemen a training boost here in the offseason, and this is the perfect time to do it. Then we also went to our recruiter ability and upgrade our wide receivers to tier 1 advanced look, which will give us the ability to scout guys a little quicker. So after week 1 of bowl season, the Sun Belt didn't fare very well. So Coastal ended up losing a close one to Miami, 34-37. Yo, that's somewhat like a win if you can go up against a team like that, who's currently ranked in the top 25 and has the #1 recruiting class going into next season. And Texas State ended up losing their game by 2 scores against Miami, Ohio. They lost 42-28, and Georgia State lost to UTSA 24-14. And as we know, we lost 30-17 to Liberty. And Ball State ended up winning a close one against Arkansas State 14-12. What a crazy score. So I guess Arkansas State probably scored 4 field goals and no TDs. Now that's what you call some great defense. And Bowling Green ended up losing to App State. So it makes App State the lone winner in bowl season week 1 for the Sun Belt. So we went 1-5 as a conference, which is not good, as we're trying to make an argument that we're a better conference than the Conference USA and the American. And after the completion of round 1 of the college football playoffs, you have West Virginia advancing to the second round as they will face Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. And then you have the USC Trojans advancing to the second round, and they will face Tulane after blowing out Arizona 56-17. And then Texas Tech moves on to the second round after taking care of Texas A&M, and they will face Oregon. And Florida lost to Penn State in a high-scoring game, and they will face the Louisiana Raging Cajuns in the second round. So at this point of the season, the All-Americans have been selected, and we had a guy to win a national award but not selected for the first team All-Americans. So I guess that was a glitch, but we'll take those awards. Like I said, it makes our resume look a lot better. And then on the second team, we didn't have anyone as well. And when it came to freshman All-Americans, we didn't have anyone selected, but we had one guy selected from our conference, which was Coastal Carolina's Nick Rudd Johnson, the free safety. And we're going to see if he'll stay at Coastal Carolina after getting selected to the freshman All-American squad. So moving on to the Sun Belt All-Conference team, where we know we had someone selected, but not on offense. Our defensive linemen, Deshaun Davis and Latrell Bullard, got selected to the first team All-Sun Belt. And on the second team, we had our running back, O.J. Arnold, getting selected. I feel like he got snubbed because you lead a nation in rushing in your second team. I guess they weigh everything on touchdowns because he wasn't the leader when it came to that category. And our punter, Alex Smith, ended up getting selected to the second team as well. And on the freshman All-Sun Belt team, we had one guy selected, and that was our right guard, Alex Hampton. And moving on, we're going to check out our season records, where we had our guy Lionel Thomas break Dexter Williams II passing touchdown record as he finished his freshman season with 21 passing touchdowns, and that topples Dexter Williams II 17 that he had last season. So Lionel Thomas is off to a great start here at Georgia Southern, and I believe he will have all of the records when it comes to QBs before he leaves. And sliding back to the college football playoffs, after the completion of the second round, you got West Virginia moving on to the semifinals after beating Georgia, the top seed in this year's playoffs. And you got USC sliding on to the semifinals as well after taking care of Tulane in a close matchup. And Oregon slides on to the semifinals after taking care of Texas Tech. And the Nittany Lions of Penn State slides on to the semifinals after taking care of Louisiana. And moving back over to staff moves, as we see Old Dominion welcomes a new head coach, Mr. Reggie Johnson, who's a C Prestige level 17 tactician. So he runs the air raid, and we're going to see if Old Dominion can improve this season after a poor performance last season. Also, Coastal Carolina head coach left for a new job, and they will bring in James Turner, who is a level 39 program builder. So he will be bringing a lot of talents as he has 50. So we got to watch out for Coastal because they got a new guy at the helm, and he might be bringing some pain with him. Texas State also got them a new guy in Greg Glenn, who's a level 32 program builder. So we're seeing some pretty good coaches come to the Sun Belt. So you know that means competition will stiffen. And like I said last offseason video, we were going to try to keep up with the guys that transferred from our university. And most of those guys didn't do much, but Jalen White was the top guy that left our squad. And he went to Florida State last year, and he didn't do anything for Florida State. What was he doing? I guess that running back room was too busy for him because he only was able to get 1 carry for a -2 yards. But they said he played in 8 games. What was he doing? Special teams? He should have stayed here at Georgia Southern, where we gave him 216 carries for 1,400 yards. I guess he wanted to preserve his body for the NFL and use the film that he accumulated here at Georgia Southern. And also, Dalen Cobb left our squad. He was a deep threat guy that we had. He went to Clemson, but you can see it wasn't a great choice because he didn't even get a yard. And back to the staff moves again. We had another team hire a new coach. You got Georgia State grabbing Ted Conley, a C- prestige coach, but he's a level 32 architect. And Southern Miss, they bring in a new coach, Matt Ashley, after getting rid of their coach who took care of us in the overtime game. And Matt Ashley comes in as a D+ prestige. He's a level 30 scheme guru. So now we're sliding back to the college football playoffs as the semifinals have been completed, and the championship game features USC and Penn State. 2 teams from the Big Ten will face off at Hard Rock Stadium this year. So Miller Moss has the same opportunity as last year's Heisman winner who played for North Carolina State as they capped off their season with a national championship and a Heisman winner. And we're going to see if Miller Moss can do it here as well. And after simulating the championship game, USC lost by 3 points to the Nittany Lions. So Miller Moss Heisman championship season didn't come to fruition as Penn State upsets USC. So now we're going to move on to players leaving, as we don't have any transfers this year, which is a great thing after we had a lot of guys jump ship on us last season. But we did have some top guys leave due to graduation, and Deshaun Davis was the first one. He was the anchor on our defensive line, and we lost Bunkley Shelton, who was our starting receiver, and Arnold, our running back, who had a great season, and Hicks, who we lost mid-season this year. He is done as well. And moving back to our recruiting board, because it's time to recruit maybe here in the off season, and we can see Michael Jasmine, a guy we put on our board in the second half of the season. He's a 2-star quarterback, and he is supposed to be the backup to our guy Lionel Thomas, because our backup next year will be a senior, and Jasmine has us in a tight race against UAB. But we're going to try our best to nab him here, as we're going to be throwing 50 hours at him. Also, we got the 1-star right tackle George Pride on our board still, and we're out in front against FIU, who looks like they're not even recruiting him. And we're going to just invite him for our first week visit. And we're going to do the same thing with Chad Barno, the one-star cornerback. And during the off season, what I do is spend most of our time on transfers, as throughout the season we were able to nab the guys we wanted from high school, and we're going to use these transfers to plug the holes for us. And first up, we got Cornelius Johnson, who's from Kennesaw State, and he has us 4th on his board, and this is a 4-star kid, yo. He's ranked inside the top 50 and top 5 at his position. Now, he has interest from Auburn, Florida State, and Tennessee, and it's gonna be tough to grab him, but we meet his deal breaker, which is playing style, and we have an A+, and all we need is a B-. And just in case we don't get Johnson, the 4-star middle linebacker, we're targeting Malachi Hood, who is from the University of Illinois. He's a 3-star guy. He's top 10 at his position and top 100 in the nation, and he has us at number 7 on his list. But the schools that are in front of us are not blue bloods like Johnson has. Both guys are in their junior year, and next year will be seniors, which means we will only have them for 1 season. We are also targeting Javante Barnes, the 3-star running back from Oklahoma. He has us number 7 on his board, and the guys in front of us are not slouches. And the deal breaker for Javante Barnes is playing time, and we have an A-, and his need is a B-. We also added Bo Burks, who's a left guard, and we're number 3 on his list. The top school that he's looking at is Kennesaw State, followed by Jacksonville State. And another middle linebacker that we're targeting is Carmichael Glass. He has us number 3 on his list. In front of us is UAB and Southern Miss. And last but not least, we got Desmond Jackson, the left tackle from Clemens, North Carolina. He has us 4th on his list. Now, Alabama and Tennessee are targeting this guy as well, but Kennesaw State is at the top spot right now. So we're going to simulate the first week here in the off season, and we were able to nab Michael Jasmine, the 2-star quarterback. So that allows us to breathe a little bit when it comes to QB play for the next couple years, as we know Lionel will run this squad, but just in case. And we got the 1-star right tackle George Pride and Chad Barno, the 1-star cornerback. So sliding back to our recruiting board here in week 2, you can see that we jumped out in front with Cornelius Johnson after bringing him on a visit in week 1, which was smart. And now Auburn, Tennessee, and Florida State has a lot of ground to make up if they want to catch up to us. And we also in first place when it comes to Malachi Hood, as he has 3 offers on the board total, 1 from Central Michigan and the other from Mizzou. And when it comes to Javante Barnes, we're in a dogfight, but we're at the top spot. Air Force is there and San Jose State. Those are his 3 offers on the table, and that playing time is still working for us. And for the rest of the guys, we're in their top 3, and we're going to see if we're going to be able to get these guys to commit after simulating week 2. And after simulating week 2, we were able to bring in Cornelius Johnson from Kennesaw State, the 4-star middle linebacker, our first 4-star signing here at Georgia Southern. And we also was able to land Malachi Hood from Illinois. Yo, we have 2 great linebackers coming in. You got to remember, we got Whitehead coming back as well. Hey, we lost my boy Hicks this year, but we replaced his talent with 2 studs. And back to our recruiting board, and maybe somebody finally communicated to Javante Barnes that we have some pretty decent running backs already. But yo, come on to the squad, man. I'll make time for you. And with this deal breaker being discovered, we can't modify anything when it comes to recruiting for him, but we already had him come on a visit, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope he still comes. And when it comes to Bo Burks, we're still in the top spot for him, but things are getting pretty tight with Ole Miss, bro. Ole Miss is there, and they got him coming on a week 6 visit. And we lost Carmichael Glass, the middle linebacker, to Tulane. But that doesn't hurt us because we got those 2 studs in Hood and Johnson. And the left tackle, Desmond Jackson, has us in 2nd place, as Kennesaw State is still his top pick. And at this moment, we have the 54th best recruiting class in the nation after signing 1 4-star, 11 3-stars, 6 2-stars, and 4 1-stars. So we're going to go ahead and simulate the final week of off-season recruiting. And we ended up losing Bo Burks, the left guard, to Ole Miss. as he went in on his visit. It says week 6, but I believe that was a week 4 visit. And for Desmond Jackson, he went to the school that we all thought he was going to go to, Kennesaw State. And Kennesaw State got a great guy for a few years because he's only a freshman. And even though we didn't get the notification for some reason, we were able to nab the running back Javante Barnes from Oklahoma. Maybe because he had that deal break and wasn't excited to come here, he didn't want to send a notification. But hey, welcome, young man. You're going to have a great time while you're at Georgia Southern, as well as we're going to share the ball with you, man. You're going to be an important piece to the squad for sure. And after wrapping up off-season recruiting, we finished with the 60th best class in the nation out of 134. So that is pretty good. We're right there with Mississippi State and Illinois. And the only team to beat us out in our conference was Louisiana, who had a great season, and they have the 57th best recruiting class. So we're neck to neck. And if we could have signed 1 or 2 more guys, we might have had the best recruiting class in the Sun Belt. So the Sun Belt had 5 teams in the top 100 of recruiting, but a good bit of our squads finished below 100. And now we're going to move on to the key players to watch for this upcoming season. First up, our top rated player, Mr. C.K. Carter, the left tackle. He's an 86 overall, and he's going to be the leader of the offensive line. He has 2 physical abilities, both on bronze, pocket shield, and play action shield. And next we got Donelius Johnson, the transfer guy. He's an 85 overall. He's a new guy to the squad, and he hasn't unlocked any physical abilities, but he will be an impact player, and we know the raw talent that he has to help us out immediately. And next we got Latrell Bullard, the defensive tackle. He was one of the top sack getters on our team last year, and he comes in with 2 physical abilities, breaker on gold and inside disruptor on bronze. He's an 85 overall, and he's the leader of our defensive line. And next we got Aiden Jackson, the reigning defensive back of the year. He's an 84 overall, and he's going to be an impact player, and he has 3 abilities: house call, wrap up, and quick jump. And speaking of the leader of our secondary, we got 2 guys that shot up our depth chart. Both of them are freshmen red shirts, and Aiden Jackson will be mentoring these guys this year. First, we got Derek Gastineau, who was like a 60-something overall last year. He shot up to an 80. He came in as an athlete, and he has 2 abilities already unlocked: Road Dog, which is a mental ability, and House Call, which is a physical ability. And playing behind the reigning defensive back of the year, this guy right here is going to learn something. And like I said, it was 2 of these guys. Next is Joey Gash, who was an athlete, a 2-star athlete at that. He shot up our depth chart as well. He's a 78 overall, and he comes in with 1 physical ability on silver, and that's the layout ability. So Joey Gash going to be at strong safety this year. We're going to have a guy over the top with some great hands. And those boosts of ratings come from us tripling down on motivators. Speaking of our coach archetypes, we ended up with 40 coach points at the end of the season. And we're going to unlock our tactician ability. And after unlocking our tactician ability, we upgraded our secondary to tier 1, which gives our secondary a boost to spin, juke, and ball carrier vision. So we will probably be able to house a lot of those interceptions if we can get in the open field. And then we also spent some of our points on our motivator abilities, and we ended up maxing out our wide receivers and tight end to locked in. So in the 4th quarter, they're going to be hot in close games. And then we maxed out our linebackers as well, so they'll get the same ability. And we started to spend points on our kickers and punters. We were able to get them all the way to tier 2, which would keep them hot through timeouts, quarter changing across games. And with our last bit of points, we spent it on our recruiter abilities because I didn't want to max out our recruiting board so early because it makes the game too easy. I love a challenge myself. And we spent those 5 points on running backs, which will give our running backs less time to fully scout. And speaking of recruiting, we're going to slide to our recruiting board this year. So to give you guys a little insight on how I set up my dynasty and why I recruit the way I recruit is for challenge reasons. And what I do is fill the board up with 35 targets each season. And the only people I target are interested in recommended players. Because I know there's glitches in the game where you can go find people that they're not recruiting to make your team that good, but it doesn't feel like a realistic rebuild, and this is a realistic rebuild. And we know we're playing on Heisman because the difficulty level also adds a different element to the game. So first up, we got James Saldivari, a left guard. He has us as his top school, and he's a 4-star guy. Number 2 at his position. So we're starting to see a lot of 4-star players becoming interested in our squad. And then you have Deontay Yazzie, the center, 4-star guy. He has us number 2. He's a top 100 player just like Saldivari, but his top school is Tennessee. And then we have Javier Connors, a 4-star guy that we're targeting. He has a 7th on his list, with his top school being Duke. And we have Manuel Laporta, the 4-star athlete from Miami. He has us 5th on his list, and Miami is his top school. And last but not least, we got John Mad. Not even going to try to pronounce his last name. He's a right guard, and he has us number 3 on his list, and USF is his top school. So we went through and redshirted a good bit of players. A lot of those players were high school recruits, and we want to just give you guys a look at their ratings coming in, because you guys seen the boost that Gastineau and Gash made in the offseason, and we're going to see how many guys make another jump like that next year. And now we're going to move on to the Sun Belt preseason all-conference team. And the first team featured our guy C.K. Carter, the left tackle, who's the top-rated player on our team. Also, Latrell Bullard, our defensive tackle, got selected as well. And our punter Alex Smith was selected. And on the second team, we had our guy Josh Dallas, the wide receiver, and the left guard Malachi Carney, our right tackle Robert Wright Jr., our newly added middle linebacker Donnelius Johnson, and the reigning defensive back of the year Aiden Jackson, as well as our kicker Chase Foster. And going into this season, they have us projected at finishing 5th in the conference, and they're saying Louisiana will win the Sun Belt, but we're going to try to prove them all wrong. And now moving on to our schedule for this year, we have our first game up against the Maryland Terrapins, who are number 22 in the nation. Then we're going to have a bye week, and then we're going to follow that bye week with a game against Bowling Green. After Bowling Green, we're going to face Mississippi State, and then we're going to be back home facing East Carolina, and then we will start conference play and face Marshall. And then we'll take a bye week in week 6, and then jump into our conference games again, where we will host Troy. And then we'll travel to Texas State, come back home to face James Madison, then travel to Georgia State, then Coastal Carolina, and then Old Dominion. And finally, we'll wrap the season up at home against our rivals, App State. So we got a very interesting season ahead of us, and we're ready to jump into it. But as always, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Hit that like button, that notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. And it's your boy McGruff, and I'm out of here. 1.